I'm Scott Reed here at Essen 2012 with Uli Blenneman from Spiel, and we're here to talk about Ruhrshifffahrt from Thomas Spitzer.
Yes, that's our new release. It's a game about coal transport in the 18th and 19th century. And it's happening here in this area. So part of the game board is showing Essen, and of course the Ruhr River, which is running through this area.
Okay, how many players is this game for?
This is a 2 to 4 player game. It's not a family type game per se. Playing time is about 120 minutes, so it's more for the game player.
Okay. Walk us through the theme here. Tell us what happens, thematically what's going on here, and then what's happening through a game turn.
Yeah, now, so you see the Ruhr River is running through the middle of the game board, and a player tries to transport, deliver coal as profitable as possible. And each player has one of these small Ruhr ships, and these typical dice, they show the quality of the coal to be transported. So a 5 die with 5 pips is better coal quality than a 2-1, and you deliver them at cities or at small scale industries or at Port Ruhrort. Port Ruhrort is very important because from here coal is exported to the Netherlands or to the Rhineland or to Belgium. So here you can, a player can also make some money. In my opinion, this game is a kind of positional game, because in each phase of a game turn, the player who's farthest upriver, so in this direction, can act first, and this is very important. So acting first in a phase is important, and being farthest upriver is also important. But sometimes you have to travel all the way down to Ruhrort, which means in the next turn the ships are hauled back because they have no motor, they have nothing, so they are hauled back by horses along the river. And at least in my opinion, it's also a game that is a very interesting part of industrial history of Germany, because in the late 19th century most of the coal transport at the Ruhr stopped because a railway superseded the transport by river in importance. And the game won the Hippo Dice Award in 2011 as best lengthy game, but it's still a very special game, of course.
So one of the things when I noticed when reading over the rules was that, I mean, as we can all see, this is a river, and naturally water flows down the river. But to get back up the river, or something to help with the transport of the river, you have to build these locks along the way. Yeah,
the locks at the start of the game. So we are in the middle of the 18th century. There are no locks at the river. So you see these spaces here are obstacles. But during the game, you can build locks. Basically, you draw, this is a little bit of a random element, you draw some demand markers, and sometimes you also have low river and low water and high water. But if you have locks, you can really make everything equal. So in that time, normally, because the river was not navigable all the way, they had to bring coal from one ship to the other at one obstacle, which means that sometimes at Port Ruhrort, only coal dust was arriving. Right. So these locks are very important to build, to increase the quality of the coal, to make your transport more profitable. That's something that is important in the game. Yes. And each player also has one of these player boards, so they are per player. And they also include some of these markers. These are progress markers, and during the turns of the game, you acquire them, and they allow you to build warehouses at a city or at a small-scale industry spot, or a warehouse at Port Ruhrort for exporting coal. That's also very important in the game. But this is getting more and more easy during the game when you acquire more and more of these progress markers. But you have to deliver then at certain spaces. So for these orange ones, you have to deliver at a city. The gray ones you can only get at Port Ruhrort, and the other ones you're getting at small-scale industries.
Okay. Now, you also have an income track down here,
Yes.
and I remember from the rules that you're putting tallers on there for
Yes,
certain deliveries.
you have-
How do you go about earning the tallers?
Yeah, let's say I'm here with my ship and I have a 2 value coal and I deliver it at the city. Let's say I'm delivering it over here. Then first, because it's a 2 value, I'm getting one of my progress markers, one of these things, which I put in here. And then I get the difference from 1 in money. So if it would be a 6-1, I would get 5 money,
Yeah.
1 plus 5.
Yeah.
With a 2, just 1 and 1.
Okay.
And later, let's say I have already the progress marker for building warehouses, I still have to purchase them. I have to still buy them. So I need to spend money. And I can also go into debt if I really desperately need money. But at the end of the game, sometimes I can only get victory points if I'm not into debt. So that's also important to get rid of the debt at the end of the game.
Okay. And tell me a little bit more about this track. I know you said that you spoke a little bit about how this captures the historical theme of the coal transport in the Ruhr, but this really sort of represents that, the development from
Yes,
paths up to railroads. Please tell us about that a little bit.
You're absolutely right. If I deliver coal, the coal dice is put on one of these tracks. By the way, the black dice are for the Ruhrshifffahrt Werden, so for the Essen area, whereas the white ones are for Grafschaft Mark. You only get them later because at first no transport was done in this area. So that's why black and white dice are shown here. But normally a black die, you put it first on the ones with the arrow, later ones on top, and then you slide them down. But by a special action here, which is called transport, I can put them in back on a spot that is favorable to me, and the others slide down. Later in the game, it's going to paved road. So you see this track is shorter, smaller, so the dice are returned faster. And then later in the game, at a certain game turn, you already have the early railways. So the coal dice are returned very quickly. So you see the development of the infrastructure around the Ruhr River, which is also shown by this track.
Okay. And this was came out through Kickstarter, correct?
Via Kickstarter too, so
Yeah.
I think it's now ending, and I'm very happy that it's successfully funded. And yeah, for a tiny company as Spielworks is, it's a major success. So I'm very happy. At the same time, I did in Germany the pre-orders for the game. Also, they run nicely. So I'm really happy because you never know. It's a very special topic. It's not a game for families. It does not play in 20 minutes. It plays in 2 hours. So how big is the market for such a game? So I'm really pleased that it's not only appealing to people who are living here in the Essen Ruhr area, but also apparently to people overseas, because I think the mechanics are really neat, and no matter what the topic is.
Yeah. Speaking of, looking at the board, was reminded of one more thing. Speaking of mechanics, the wooden plank there is the high and low water marker. Tell us about that, because I think that also works really well within the theme.
Yes, so it's a little bit of a random element, but I think it really works nicely because I think I briefly mentioned it. During a turn, you draw one of these markers. Normally they have some demand, like this one, but like this one, they can only also show low or high water, which means normally if it's not low or high water, in theory I could move all the way down to Ruhrort. In low or high water I can only move 2 spots, so let's say from here to here, so my movement is very limited, and you simply place it over the ones which are blocked about the special options. This is a pilot's wheel, because the river was not navigable in all areas. You need it for the pilot, and in low and high river he is not available, so your movement is very limited. It's random, so it can hurt you, but it also is a certain decision making element, a risk-taking element, because you can never sure that your next move will be the one that you want to do. If next turn I have to move to Ruhrort, if it's low water, I cannot do it, then I have to have a second plan for it.
Okay. Yeah, who did the artwork on this for
The
you?
artwork is done by a good friend of mine who is also local. It's Harald Lieske. So I really like him because he's doing things a little bit differently than most graphics artists these days. I'm not saying better. I like it a lot, but it's different. And he is one of the few gaming artists still remaining who is doing everything by hand. And then only at the last moment he's transferring it digitally. So you see it's like a kind of painting. He's really doing this certain style, and Spielworks, as you know, is tiny, and I cannot do the same things as others are doing. The bigger ones are doing these things better anyway, so I have to be special.
Indeed, indeed. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the overview here, and this looks like a very interesting game that I'm very excited to try.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.